And we welcome you to the post Money in the Bank edition of This Is Wrestling. It is Lee Versage and the one and only Hornsey, Zach McGibbon. I think, Hornsey, you might be fired up. It's Sunday morning, and who better to wake up with than yours truly, Lee Versage? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, Lee. I watched the show yesterday, and I was consuming the show. I was taking everything in, all the things that happened yesterday. And I realized I needed to talk about this show. I have purposely made time today, any sort of time, whether it be this morning, whether it be this afternoon, but I needed to talk about this show. And so I texted you. It was like when a wrestler asked for promo time on TV. I said, look, we need to talk about this show. I need to have some sort of intervention with the WWE fans. I really need to understand their thought process. Okay. I need to understand what the standards are with this company. I really need to know, because I'm losing it here, Lee. I really am. I don't understand. I really don't understand what the people want anymore. It just seems like it fluctuates. I used to think I had a good pulse on what the fan base wanted. Now I have no earthly idea of what the fans want. But maybe we'll figure out. Maybe a review like this will help, talk it out, and maybe I can get a better understanding of everything, because quite frankly, I just don't understand.
Well, speaking of what the fans want and need, they need you in this fired up mode, which is why I got the text last night, and I did not watch the show live, and I got your text. I was almost asleep. It's been a long week. I got your text. I need to talk about this show.
I need to talk.
So I said, okay, no problem. I went straight to bed, got a decent night's Saturday night sleep, but got up a little early this morning and said, I need to watch this show, because then I need to talk to Zach immediately. I know I have exactly the pulse of the fans of This Is Wrestling, and they need more Zach McGibbon like this. And I said, the earlier the better. You watch that show, Lee. You get up and you watch that show, because the fans need Zach. They need to hear him like this. So let's get into it. And Money in the Bank begins with the women's Money in the Bank matchup. Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, the Eradicator, which I don't like the nickname of, Rhea Ripley, Alexa Bliss, Naomi, and who am I forgetting?
I think you got it. Roxanne Perez.
Roxanne, the Prodigy, Roxanne Perez. And the six of them kick off this show. So I have, I would say I have 4 or 5 critiques of this match. But I'm also going to tell you that this, for whatever standard you want to use, this show for me kicked off with the best match of the night.
Okay. Interesting.
And to me, it wasn't that close that this was the best match of the night. Not perfect. And again, I have about 4 or 5 things I'd like to say about the match, but I would like to tell you, to start off on a positive before we get into crazy Zach McGibbon. Hornsey's horns are going off. Hornsey's horns are going up is what is happening. I thought the women worked pretty hard in this match and gave a lot. My critiques are more about the booking and why they would do some of the things. But I thought these 6 women worked very hard. And when I looked at this match from, hopefully the WWE fans' point of view, just an outside perspective of no biases, it was 6 women that, put in a really good effort, and I want to see more of, except for one. But I think 5 of the 6 for me are women that I would like to watch continually if they're put in the right situation. So just so you know, I think that this was the best match of the night for me, from the way that they worked and how hard they worked during this show. And I would tell you that, let's get into some of the match, but we'll begin by telling you that on the preview show, Zach by far thought that the least favorite woman, according to the odds, was Naomi. I then informed him that Naomi was the betting favorite. In fact, the bigger betting favorite than anybody else on the men's or the women's side. Zach was aghast. Zach was a
Flabbergasted.
little flabbergasted. He was shocked. There was a little that not understanding what is happening in the world voice of Zach McGibbon. And I said, yeah, I think Naomi's going to win. She could do a lot of things, but she's been around, and you couldn't believe it. But Naomi is the winner of the 2025 Women's Money in the Bank. So let's get into it. What did you think of the match?
Thought it was perfectly fine. This was not my favorite match of the night. We'll get to it later. I thought it was perfectly fine. I thought the women worked hard, as you mentioned, but out of all the ladder matches I've seen, this is one of them. I don't know. I'm so done with ladder matches at this point where it's they did this big, you're not gonna believe it, Lee, but they did this big spot in a ladder match. Like, oh wow, we never see big spots in ladder matches anymore. I mean, it's unbelievable how many spots happen in a ladder match. I'm interested to hear, because you mentioned 5 of the 6 women you wanted to see more of on your TV. What is the one, Lee, that you're like, not gonna work for me? I'm interested to know who that one is.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it's the winner, Zach.
Oh, so you don't want to see the winner, Naomi? You mean to tell me that there were 5 better options to go with than Naomi?
Well, that's my personal opinion. Maybe others would disagree. For me, Naomi doesn't do a whole lot when she comes on television, and now when I watch Raw, SmackDown, whatever, do I care what Naomi's going to do with the Money in the Bank? No, I would have cared watching the other 5 women to see where they could go and what they could do with it. My care level for Naomi was in simpatico with your rankings going into the odds. She would be last by a mile. I understand why they did it, because they've done a lot of build up online, social media. She's been around for a while. She's tied to other people in the company. They went on that this is, she's been in many multiple Money in the Bank matches before, how much she's learned. So I understand, but it feels like sometimes in other professional sports, when people get the calls, like Tom Brady gets a roughing the passer call when he was playing that was not roughing the passer, but he's been around so long. Or other veterans that get calls that some of the other people don't. She is, to answer your question, she's the one that I don't care about watching going forward, which was disappointing to me in the end, that I would have cared about 5 of the 6.
Yes.
How about you?
I very much like they can hear you have 5 better options to go with. I don't want to hear about, the Money in the Bank briefcase, it's a heel thing, because the person cashing in, usually it's in the middle of the match, it's more of a heel gimmick. Well, that would imply that there are no other creative routes to go with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Do they have to cash in? Can they not just say, like in the middle of the match, can they not, cash in and say, look, I am going to set up this title match weeks down the line so I can prepare, they could prepare like a good baby face or whatnot? Like, does Paul Levesque, 2-time Booker of the Year in the Wrestling Observer, the man that everybody tells me he's just this genius, this great booker, Like, you would think he would have some creative ideas to try and do something different with the Money in the Bank, but clearly not, as we've established with the preview show, where other than the one time he helped out with a cash in with Randy Orton, doesn't get anywhere close to Money in the Bank throughout his career. Now we're going to go with Naomi, and we're going to continue with this long-term feud with Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair and Naomi, but now the briefcase is going to be involved, and we're going to get more talking segments and these emotional promos, quote unquote, with all three. And just because it could be logically sound doesn't mean it's good. Why is it that because they could tell a competent, quote unquote, story from beginning, middle to end? I would argue the middle is very weak. Why is it when they can tell something from beginning, middle to end that gets praised as this high level, top of the shelf, high bar quality storytelling? Why? So that's why we're giving the Money in the Bank briefcase to Naomi, because logically it makes sense to the story. You have 5 better options to go with, and they went with the worst one. What are we doing here? Why? Anyways, the match itself was fine. It was a fine ladder match, but I'm gonna forget about this ladder match, 2 months down the line.
I agree.
We're gonna sit back, be like, who are the competitors in this women's ladders match again? And then we'll just pretend we'll forget it happened. So I'm just flabbergasted. I'm flabbergasted. What's happened to the business I love, Lee? What's going on?
I will tell you that just because I thought it was the best match of the night, I do kind of agree with you that it wasn't spectacular. I guess I was just interested in a lot of the 5 of the 6 women and seeing what they can do. I really like Vaquer. I really like Julia. I really like Roxanne Perez is growing on me a lot. Soft spot for Alexa Bliss. Like, there's just a lot of women that I wanted to see go forward from my interest. But just because I thought that this match was a C or average or fine, I guess it tells you what I think about the rest of the card.
Yeah.
But I did think it was the best one. Now, a couple of things during this match. Naomi, there was a spot where they said that she kind of ripped her knee to shreds. How is she ever going to be able to, to go up the ladder and do all those things again? And then there was one spot where she had to kind of get up quickly, and they're like, Naomi's gingerly running, trying to save it, and she's sprinting. She is absolutely sprinting. And it's like the announcers are trying to sell something that she's actually not doing, which I thought was really stupid. And you can tell me what you think of all of these things. I did not like the commentary about how many times they mentioned that Stephanie Vaquer has wrestled 3 times. And I'm not sure, Zach, is it 24 hours? Is it now 20 hours? Is it 18 hours? Is it 16 hours? Is it back to 20 in a 24-hour period? Literally, McAfee said it was a 24-hour period and then 20 within like 10 seconds of each other.
Yep.
Wade Barrett said it. It's got to be down to 20. And then he mentioned 18. Like, they literally said it 10 times and had at least 4, 5, 6 different hours about how many times she's wrestled. And it was way overkill. First of all, they didn't need to mention it that much at all. Second of all, when you get the times wrong all the time, you're just making a mockery of the fact that she's actually done this pretty incredible feat. They jumped the shark with that, and I hated it because I thought it made Vaquer look bad when it's actually a pretty cool feat of what she did on the weekend, wrestling 3 times in a 24-hour period. I also did not like, Zach, do you know who the U.S. Women's Champion is?
It is no longer Chelsea Green. It's Zelina Vega, right? That's the U.S. Women's Champion.
It is Zelina Vega. Do you know what her finisher is?
I have no idea.
Okay. It's a code red.
Okay, yes, it's a code red. Yes.
Yep. So during this match, they had two women do dueling code reds from the middle ladder onto the ladders that were, kind of parallel to the ring. Dueling code reds just in the middle of the match when your US champion's finisher is that move. And that move on a ladder didn't finish off anybody. If I'm Zelina Vega watching that, I'm less than pleased.
Yep.
I'm not sure they care, but if I'm her, I'm not happy at all. And then a couple of times, and this happens in all ladder matches, but I think when you haven't had people that have wrestled in the ladder matches before, it can look really bad. I thought it looked really bad in both the men's and the women's, where somebody gets that one step from the briefcase, and it's incredible how fast they will run to catch somebody else. But when they're actually on top, that waiting and sort of, can I get to the last rung in my hand? I get to the second last one. Instead of trying to go up another rung, I just kind of hit the briefcase with my hand and I'm almost there. And it's just so painful to go, hey, I don't know. You just sprinted out like from the ground into the ring, up the ladder, but that one rung, you just can't get up anymore.
Yeah.
And you're waiting for somebody to get there to bring you down. I just think, again, makes it look like a mockery a little bit. So
totally breaks the immersion.
Yeah. So those are some of the things I didn't like about this match. I'm interested to hear what you think, especially of like the number of hours, like the broadcast team, and then the dueling code reds, which is somebody else's move that isn't wrestling and is a champion. Just some of the little things I didn't like about this match.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with a lot of that, especially the one where it's just hanging on by the tips and just like, just go up one more step on the ladder. Like, and but you know that they're just waiting for the spot, and it just totally breaks the immersion. And it's not just the women's match too that had that. The men's also had it.
The men's was actually worse.
The men's was blatantly worse. We'll talk about that. But oh my god,
I just wrote it down during the women's match, not knowing that the men's would be worse.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they were, and yes, what you had me at, I did like the commentary team in your critiques. Like, well, yeah, you got me there. And then everything else was just gravy at that point. It was just, I'm in total agreement, total agreement. Just like yelling it in my ear about, as you mentioned, the 24 hours, 20 hours, 18 hours, 16 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, 3 months, 3 days. I don't know. It's just the constant shifting times. Just really trying to put that over. And something similar happened also in the men's match with another one of the gimmicks that they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And it was just like, I got it. I hear you loud and clear. Very, very loud and clear, actually. So like, I understand putting things over. I get it. But as somebody that's on the indie scene doing commentary, and you get told, hey, can you put this over in this match? Or can you put this over in this match? I get it. I totally understand the concept of putting things over in a match. But there's also, you have to do it at a certain pace, a certain level, where you don't overdo it, and then it just negates what you're trying to get over, right? So yeah. This women's match, I thought they worked hard and whatnot. The problem is, it's like, if there was a pro wrestling commission and I get to oversee everything in pro wrestling, this is not just a WWE problem. This is just an all of professional wrestling problem. The first decree I would have as the head of the pro wrestling commission is that there would be no ladder matches for like 5 years, just so that we can like take a pause. It would only be on a permission-based basis for each promotion to tell me, hey, I want to do this ladder match. And I would want to hear the pitch of why you would want to do the ladder match. Oh, we just need some spots in the middle of the show. No. Enough. I'm good. I feel like I've seen every spot you could possibly do in a ladder match at this point.
Okay, so to branch off of that, I think it would be interesting to ask people who listen to the podcast, who think the same as you do, maybe put your mind to it, my mind to it. What could be another concept for Money in the Bank that isn't a ladder match? Could you get somebody that number one contendership, involve numerous people so you can have qualifying matches, get a lot of people in on pay-per-views, that kind of thing, without it being a ladder match? I'd love to hear some other ideas, some new, fresh ideas as to what that would be. I'm going to group the Dominic Mysterio, Octagon Jr., and Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria.
There you go. You're getting it. You're getting it.
Matches. Both intercontinental title matches. Last chance for Becky Lynch. That match first. Zach, trying to sell me an angle that she had the tights and that she's a horrible person in a title match. First of all, for hooking the tights, even if she did, which I never saw a camera angle that she did, and I never thought she did when she was rolling her up, and I never saw it. So trying to put it over like it's the worst crime in the world for her to win the title by hooking the tights, which is probably the least cheating way I've ever seen. Of like, you hook the tights at the end to win a title? Okay, who wouldn't? Like, babyface, heel, who wouldn't? And I'm not even sure that Becky Lynch did hook her tights. And if she did, they didn't show it. And Lyra Valkyria getting her heat back, I was actually laughing, knowing that it was coming, going, Zach's going to go nuclear on somebody getting their heat back after the match. I did not like this match. I don't have many positive things to say about it, so I'm eager to hear your positivity on it.
So here's the funny thing. The match itself, this was probably my favorite match of the show.
Oh, Zach McGibbon.
Favorite Strawn. Look, I'm not saying this is a great match. I wasn't watching Akira Hokuto out there, having a great match against Manami Toyota, okay? I wasn't having one of those kind of matches. Like, this was the best match out of a card where it was mostly fine to below average. This one was, I thought the work was hard, but like what you said with the does anybody want to put people over and just like Becky Lynch wins, right? Definitive, right? Well, I shouldn't say definitive. They of course had to do it as a roll up, but even then they had to do the heat back because Becky's got to get her hand raised and like look all over to the crowd, get the belt up, and then immediately when that's done, takes a German suplex, so she just looks dumb after she gets attacked by Lyra Valkyria. And again, we just go back to square one when it comes to getting the heat back. I thought the work itself was fine. It was all right. At points, I was like, all right, this is pretty decent. I think Lyra Valkyria, I think there is like a good wrestler there. And I think Becky Lynch is trying to, get her over as well. But man, like, first of all, this last chance gimmick, you've got the heel trying to get the last chance at the title, not the babyface. It's the heel's last chance to get the title, and how she has to overcome the odds to get this title. It just feels backwards when it comes to the booking of this as a heel. And then finally she wins, Becky Lynch. She gets the Intercontinental Championship, and like what we mentioned, they just gave her heat back. We're back to square one, and so this feud continues, and great. Fine. It's fine. It was a fine professional wrestling match.
Can you explain to me then why Dominic Mysterio and Octagon Jr., which wasn't exactly, we didn't even really talk about it on the preview show, so they did give us another match.
Yes.
Do you know what the runtime of this match was?
I have it up on my screen right here.
Yeah.
Runtime.
I figured.
The runtime of Dominic Mysterio and Octagon Jr. was 4 minutes, 55 seconds. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for giving me a 4-minute, 55-second match for the Intercontinental Championship. I guess this was supposed to be a showcase of Octagon Jr. Nothing says showcasing yourself like a 4-minute match against Dominic Mysterio. So I watched Worlds Collide before this. So I saw the angle that they did, where they had Dominic was sitting ringside and he got in the face of Octagon, and then Dominic was the one that laid out the challenge. I'll see you at Money in the Bank for the Intercontinental Championship. Oh, all right. That's something different. Maybe we get a showcase of Octagon Jr. Give him a chance to, get himself over. They gave him 4 minutes on the PLE. And, of course, Liv Morgan got involved. Every WWE finish you've seen when it comes to interference. Again, lots of interference.
It's she gets up, causes a distraction. The referee actually looks over. This is the funny part to me.
Yes, it's
It's
true.
like the referee looked over and watched Dominic Mysterio take advantage of the distraction, and it was just fine with it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
referee's
all right.
discretion, Lee. I guess it's referee's discretion.
All right.
Fine, sure.
I
Go ahead.
I just don't understand. I just don't understand the logic of doing any of this. Like, let's get Octagon Jr. out there. Let's have a 4-minute and 55-second match. Let's have the most, like, I just can't even think of something in a meeting that could take less time than go, how about we get Liv Morgan up on the rope? She distracts the referee. Dominic kind of takes advantage, does a 619, a frog splash, and wins. Guys, that's money in the bank. I mean, we have a couple money in the bank, but that's money. 4 minutes, 55 seconds, a Liv Morgan distraction. Referee sees it, doesn't care. 619 frog splash. I love it. Guys, go do it. Like, come on.
When I was watching Worlds Collide, I was like, naively, and I should have been better than this, but I was thinking, oh, they're setting this up. Maybe this will be a chance to like put a belt on a AAA guy, do something different, right? And maybe you could showcase your AAA roster. And Octagon Jr. I've not seen too much Octagon Jr. I've avoided Triple Manias in the last little bit, so I have not seen a lot of Octagon Jr. And there's some moves here that he's able to do, and it looks good, whatnot. But I thought maybe this would be a chance to really do something different. And it's not like they actually care about these mid-card belts like they'll tell you they care about these mid-card belts. So why not do something different here and put the belt on Octagon Jr., the Intercontinental Championship, changes things up. You got people talking at the end of the show like, oh, a AAA wrestler is the Intercontinental Champion. I'm interested to see some of these matches. But nope, we just did the standard laissez-faire WWE booking that Paul Levesque likes to do because that's all he knows. All he knows what to do is interference spots and run-ins. That's all he knows how to book. And so he's booking it here against the AAA guy. They bought the company, and yet they still need to showcase that WWE is the superior company and is the one and only company in professional wrestling in their mind. So we're going to beat Octagon Jr. in 4 minutes by Dominic Mysterio. Unbelievable. 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 That's all I got to say.
Well, I wish I had a follow-up to all of your good thoughts, but I don't. So let's move on, Zachary. Are your horns up for the men's Money in the Bank matchup where we had Andrade? We had, I don't know, the announcers didn't seem to know whether El Americano Grande or Chad Gable were in the match. But
that was so annoying. It was so annoying. It was like 5-7 minutes of it. I'm like, I got it. At one point, they were talking about examining nipples of the guy to try and figure out who it was. I'm like, guys, can we move off of the topic, please? I got it. I understand.
Haven't even got out the competitors yet. But I also found it like really annoying. Like sometimes I can handle, okay, you're trying to get something over. This was well beyond that. So we had Penta. We had L.A. Knight. We had Seth Rollins and Solo Sikoa as your 6 competitors. I laid out, and I think we both agreed that the right thing to do would probably have Seth Rollins win this match for what TV would look like in the future. And again, like I don't love going with the betting favorites just because, but sometimes if you don't actually pick those people, you're wrong because that's exactly what they're doing. So
Yeah.
Seth Rollins does win Money in the Bank. I'm just gonna a bunch of things happen in this match. I'm just gonna leave it, Zach, to where you want to start because I think you're fired up about this one too.
Oh yeah. I just sat there and watched this finish go down. And I'm like, man, a ladder match and we've got to run in and interference. Multiple people running in and interfering. In the ladder match, where there's already 6 people competing, try and get this one briefcase that's hanging above. A title opportunity is right there. So this was the spot I kind of teased at earlier in the women's match where there was just this thing. I forget who it was. He was trying to reach up. I think it was Andrade or whatever, but they're just reaching up and like they kept hitting the briefcase.
Okay, I'll tell you exactly who it was because I wrote it down.
Okay.
I was just infuriated because it's the same thing as the women's match where Penta is running around in this match, like to the point where Michael Cole is trying to put over the fact that Penta, he just comes out of nowhere. He'll never say die. He's always around. Penta, you just can't get rid of this guy. But when he gets one step from the rung and, I don't know, a world title opportunity, suddenly all this quickness, all this never say die attitude, you just can't get rid of the guy. Actually, he just can't take one more step. And they were setting up the spot, which was just so ridiculous.
So convoluted.
Where LA Knight, which I never liked this move in the first place, grab the legs and then catapult the guy forward.
Mm-hmm.
It never looks real because there's just so much that the person getting catapulted has to do. But they do it from outside of the ring onto kind of the ring apron so that El Grande Americano can sort of be put up onto the ladder so that he can get up and stop Penta. I guess if you're diagramming it in the back, hey, this would be cool because, he gets launched from the floor onto the ring, onto the next ladder to be able to thwart the guy who, I don't know, is standing there for 5 minutes, hitting it with kind of one hand. Oh my God, if I could just take one more step. If I could just take the step and I'm hitting it. It's within reach. And they were laid on the spot and it just took forever.
Yeah.
So with this cool little spot that, if timed right, probably could have looked decent. A bad catapult by LA Knight. Very late for El Grande Americano. Penta looking like an idiot, not knowing what to do at the top of the ladder. Well, I can't get the briefcase. So I just don't understand. But that's the spot that you're talking about because
he just kept smacking the briefcase like it was a volleyball. Crazy.
Not quite sure if that was the spot that involved the fireball ladder.
Yes.
Which was bigger and better until it broke.
Yes.
Bigger and better. The ones that he told, oh God, what are their names again?
American Made. Creed
American
Brothers,
Made,
yes.
The Creed Brothers. He told them to put out on another show that you didn't see. So we're going to tell you about it as announcers, and it's the fireball one. Too many ads in the ring. I don't need an ad on the ladder. If you didn't have any ads in the ring and you wanted to do this spot with the great ladder that was the fireball ladder, that maybe that's the one that ends it and it is the superior ladder and it doesn't break 5 seconds into the spot that you're using it, But all of that was just way too much for me.
So much. It was so convoluted. The guy was just hitting the briefcase. He was playing volleyball with it. He just kept hitting it. And I'm just like, just climb one more step. You could at least sell it where you're trying to get at the carabiner and like the carabiner is jamming or something like that. You could sell that. And I could believe that. But of course, and then it just turned into this convoluted spot where LA Knight is throwing El Grande Americano into that ladder, as you mentioned. It was essentially a double Shelton Benjamin, where he gets thrown up and then runs up the ladder and then goes on to the other ladder and then runs it up and then does this spot. So, of course, too, because it's WWE and we have to tell our stories here in this company, and the only way they can tell stories is not in the ring. It is through interference spots, run-ins, getting involved in matches. Like, that's the only way they can tell stories in this company. It can never be in the ring. And so it's a ladder match. It's Money in the Bank, and you have Seth Rollins' goons come out, Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, the two Brawns, coming out and getting involved in the match. I was like, oh, great, awesome.
Okay, I'm just going to stop you here for 1 second because I did want to point out before that. So El Grande Americano, they catch him and he's lying outside the ring, and it kind of led up to the spot where he headbutted Penta with the metal that he put in. But Michael Cole was going apoplectic with this about him putting in this metal and he's a cheater, and it was basically the worst thing you could possibly do in a match with no disqualification, by the way.
Yes.
So you can do, of all the times that you would put the metal in your forehead, it is this one. So he's going just nuclear about this. Meanwhile, Seth Rollins, as you said, and you can start talking about, the Brawns come out. He didn't seem all that upset about it.
No. He was that's a great point, Lee. He was apoplectic about the metal being lodged in the mask. Like, how could he stoop to such low levels? The lowest of lows that he could go to
in a
no disqualification match, mind you. And then the two guys run out, the two Brawns come out, and it's like nowhere close in terms of reaction coming from Michael Cole. I mean,
almost expected. Like, you didn't expect somehow for El Grande Americano to put the metal in his mask, but these guys are coming out. Yeah. I mean, they're part of the group. Like what?
Like as if it's a matter of fact. Like, of course. Yeah, absolutely they would do that. And blah, 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 blah,
yeah.
blah. So they go in, they wreck house, and they beat everybody up. It's like, great. I guess we're going to have to tell our stories here. And then I'm just watching this. And then, of course, we can't have enough run-ins in this match. So we got another run-in where we have the bloodline, the new bloodline, and it's Jacob Fatu and JC Mateo, also known as Jeff Cobb, coming out. Two big boys in their own, going out and wrecking house as well. And then they finally do the thing where Solo Sikoa, it's just Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. You're like, oh, here we go. Something's happening here. Solo Sikoa, he starts taking his time, climbing up the ladder, and then Fatu grabs him by the ankle. Like the one hand on the ankle. And I guess I know he's a very strong guy, but I guess it's strong enough to stop the momentum of Solo Sikoa. Like, he decided to stop at that specific spot in the ladder, got held up by the ankle, and he's trying to reach across again to the Money in the Bank briefcase. He's trying to move his legs. Like, what's going on? Why can't I stop? I mean, he has the other leg that he could, climb up on and maybe use it for leverage if he wanted to, but I guess the sheer grip and the sheer force from the one hold coming from Solo Sikoa, and then in just brilliant storytelling here, Lee. I mean, it's just like Shakespeare can't write anything better than this here, Lee. You know how Solo Sikoa, when he goes sees Jacob Fatu looks at him and goes, "I love you, Solo." Well, get this, Lee. In just sheer beautiful, totally creative writing, just really selling the moment.
Hey, listen, you got two of the three words the same.
Well, here's the thing. There's the one key word that he changed. Like, he's because Jacob Fatu is no longer with Solo Sikoa. And you know this, Lee. I mean, this is just great symbolism because he looks at Solo Sikoa and says, "I hate you, Solo." It's like, oh wow, you know, that's the opposite of love, hatred. Oh, like, and I'm just seeing the think pieces right now. Like, you know, love, it's this one thing, and hatred is this other thing. And so Solo Sikoa, like, he kept receiving this love from Jacob Fatu, but now Jacob Fatu hates him. I mean, it's just sheer brilliance. Another just pure genius. And so Solo Sikoa, he gets beaten up. He takes actually a pretty nasty fall. Like, if it was a couple inches lower, he could have hit the back of his neck on the ladder. And then Jacob Fatu walks out. And then they had the brief hope spot between Seth Rollins and LA Knight to give you that little bit of hope that maybe LA Knight will be the one that gets the Money in the Bank briefcase, because that's who the fans want. But no, it's Seth Rollins who gets the victory, and he poses, and it's the second time now he's held the Money in the Bank briefcase, and he celebrates with Heyman, and he celebrates with the 2 bronze. And so there we go. Like what we expected. So many run-ins, so many interference spots, and we had our community theater part of the show as well, where we had to get our lines across so that we could tell the story through words as opposed to professional wrestling. And now we have Seth Rollins with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Just, I mean, Paul Levesque, what a booker that guy is.
So just to get back to it, the El Grande Americano Chad Gable stuff, I think it's not my cup of tea, but I think it can be somewhat humorous if done right. They have just gone way past the point.
Oh yes.
It's just, and look, he was in the main event, right? You watched When Worlds Collide.
Yep.
I did not see it. I will see it, but we're just doing this so quickly after the pay-per-view.
I put Lee's on the spot a bit. I was so fired up I needed to talk about this.
No, but I just didn't, like, When Worlds Collide. I want to watch it. I will watch it. But I hear it was a pretty good main event.
Yes, it was. The whole show itself was a pretty good show. Just turn off the commentary, not because of Corey Graves, but more for Conan was on commentary for this. And this is not the charismatic Conan of 1997. Let's just say that. But the show itself was good.
Yeah, and having, El Grande Americano and in the main event, right?
Yep.
Like,
well, Chad Gable, it's a totally different person, you see.
Yeah. I think it can work. It's just they've gone way too far with it. And what they're trying to do, it's just they're making a mockery of it. And I want to be able to watch it, have a little humor, because I understand what they're trying to go for. A little humor, and sort of make the talent shine. And they're not doing that. They're actually making him look like a joke because of the way that they're portraying him, when he's one of the best athletes, and I think they could really do something. I just think they're ruining it. I also didn't like a couple of the camera. Like, it's hard to pick up everything, but when guys are setting up double moves to do them, and to do them in a showcase, Andrade and Penta did that, and they completely missed them.
Yep.
And they had to show replays on both. And it's like, come on. The guys are breaking their backs and doing things knowing that they're not going to win, so that they do get featured in this match. You can't miss them.
Yeah.
And this is WWE is better than AEW when it comes to this. I find that AEW misses a lot of big spots now. But these are really set up featured spots in a match that's designed around them. You can't miss them. So I didn't like that part of it either. I thought this one, Zach, was like, I will never remember this one ever, this match. Like, it'll be just Seth Rollins wins, and there were like some other people in the match, and that's it. More than the women's. Like, I will actually remember a little bit that Vaquer and Julia and Roxanne Perez and 5 of the 6 women that I'm interested in. I thought they had some good spots. Again, it wasn't brilliant, but I will remember it a little bit, I will not remember this men's match whatsoever.
Fair enough. I'm in agree with you on that one too. One of the other things I want to mention, they did this a similar spot. We were talking about the Code Reds earlier. Well, they also did the spot where same ladder position in the corner because they wanted to have the camera looking across. That was built into the turnbuckle, and it was not a Code Red, but it was a Mexican Destroyer, right?
Yep.
Same premise, flipping move onto the guy's head or whatnot into the ladder. Lee, say it with me. Road agents not talking to each other.
Yeah.
Just
little
things.
And I know that it is a little thing because you want to try and make it safe, but in that particular one, Andrade, who was, receiving the move, jumped way earlier than who was it that did it? Penta?
It was Penta.
Yeah. Then Penta was ready, and all of a sudden Andrade is like starting up and the move is going and Penta's not ready for it. It was just maybe a half second or a second, but when you're doing a move like that, it's got to be, both guys got to be doing it at the same time. And then they showed a replay and it was worse. Like Andrade's doing the move and Penta's like, oh, guess I'm along for the ride here, instead of like the one that should be delivering the move. So little thing, but you're right. Same move. Both matches. And when two women do it at the same time, don't you think it takes away from them seeing it again with just one?
Yes.
Move happening instead of two? Like you do two, it's involving 4 women, 2 women do it to 2 other women. It's at the same time, simultaneous. They do it fairly well. And then you're just going to want to do it again in the men's match? Well, what? Why? Like, what's the benefit of doing that? Because the danger and what they're putting the guys through doesn't match what you're going to get out of the crowd because they've already seen it. Anyway, really good point. And I thought in this match in particular that Seth Rollins didn't look that good. And I know you do beat the drum of Seth Rollins in the ring sometimes isn't everything, but I wanted him to look strong in this match.
Yep. And
this was a match that, okay, well, let's get Penta stuff in and let's get Andrade stuff in. Oh, we can't forget about El Americano Grande. I didn't really feel like I saw LA Knight all that much in this match. I don't remember. I know he took one thing off or delivered something off the ladder and it looked dangerous because they almost hit the ladder on the way down, but I didn't think Seth Rollins, like nothing memorable stands out for me at all about Seth Rollins in this match other than him winning.
Yeah. And if you wanted to throw logic in there, which I know is tough for a lot of the WWE booking, but if you want to throw logic in there, if you're just going to have your 2 guys come out and beat everybody up anyways, why not just start it right off the bat in the match? Why not just have them come out right at the start? Like, I understand that everybody will have been weakened at that point. But if this was just going to be the plan and Braun are just waiting in the back, just waiting, why not just have them come out at the beginning of the match and have them wreck house right at the start?
And when they did the spot where Jacob Fatu was standing there guarding the ladder until he turned on Solo, which I understand. But then when you have goons come out like Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, doesn't it make sense for them to like just get in the ring and surround the ladder and then have your guy go up and like, well, try and get at us? Mm-hmm. That's the most logical thing you could do. Have the 2 biggest, baddest guys stand at the bottom of the ladder watching your guy go up. I do agree with you on the ladder matches being the same every time now. Not really getting a lot. And I think some of the danger that some of these guys go through to try to provide spots and to get over, it's just not the right environment for them. And they're actually putting themselves in some pretty big danger in these matches to not get the gratitude at the end that they deserve, because these matches just aren't working. So again, if you have an idea for Money in the Bank, we'd love to hear it. This is wrestling.
Yes.
To be able to, and I don't want to hear like old ideas that really aren't say like somebody's gonna, oh, they should do Ultimate X. Well, first of all, it's been done. Second of all, it's fairly dangerous.
Yep.
And that's kind of gone by the wayside because we've seen some unbelievable matches and unbelievable spots in that. So that's kind of worn as well. But I would like to hear some other ideas, and we can focus on that next show.
There you go.
But Zach, it's main event time. By the way, just so everyone knows, I went perfect again.
Had to get it in. Had to get that in there.
Well, listen, I didn't lead with the fact that this is like back-to-back shows with two different companies that I have not got a single match wrong. Zach, I'm on a streak of a lifetime here.
Yeah.
We're talking about like well into the teens.
Yeah.
Of check mark, check mark, check mark. Not everyone on this show can say that.
It's true. It reminds me of Goldberg in a lot of ways, you know? Just being able to win a lot of his matches.
You know what? As soon as you make that comparison, I want to move on and not bring it up anymore. So excellent rebuttal. Excellent. That could stop anybody in their tracks bragging about anything. I shouldn't be bragging about Money in the Bank. But we get to the main event, and it's John Cena and Logan Paul against Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. Zach, the floor is yours.
Oh, the holds were plentiful in this match, Lee. We got holds, we got headlocks, side headlocks, we've got nerve holds, we got every sort of hold you would have wanted in this match was here. And this was 24 minutes long, Lee. And I felt every single second of this 24-minute match.
Only felt like 48.
Yeah, it only felt double that. You know, it's a lot of the things we've said about, especially in the case of Cena. I mean, Cena just cannot take bumps. It's awkward to see him take bumps now at this stage of his career. He's just totally cooked. He's cooked, as the kids say, Lee.
Yeah, and it's just awkward to watch him wrestle because he was never great to begin with, but he could go. And he's just a shell of himself. And every time he gets in there, it looks so arduous and painful. You could bring a novice wrestling fan in and they would watch and go, something not right with that guy. It doesn't look right. Like, what's happening? And that's on John Cena. That's on the WWE. That's on everybody for putting him in this spot.
Yep. I agree.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like I watch him and it's just, it's not heat the right way. It's that guy used to be good and he could bring, like, I remember when Kevin Owens came in and beat John Cena and I'm like, that's amazing. Like the matches, Owens looked like $1 million and Cena was good for putting them over. And Cena's put more guys over than most guys on top, but he could go. It wasn't brilliant, but he could go. And then it's like when you have, like in hockey, if you have, I don't know, like an average player, they've got really good skill, but the one thing they lack is skating. I'm trying to think of an example of somebody that's like was really a good player, but the one thing that they didn't have like everybody else was their skating, and then suddenly they lose like a step, or in Cena's case, like 4. They're just nothing like anything they used to be, and that's exactly what's happening to John Cena. It's utterly embarrassing, and if I have to see this awkward, I'm gonna hit the guy with the belt in the forehead in the middle of the ring spot again. It literally looks like what somebody would do in 1984 when they didn't have, like, it was actually a moment where somebody would get in the ring and hit somebody over the head with the belt in the middle of the ring in the forehead. It's 2025.
Yeah.
Like, it just looks so bad. Anyway.
Well, it's okay, because there is another thing that's going to be happening in 2025 that's based on the reaction. I guess people wanted it all along. Who knew? We'll talk about that in a moment. But first, the match itself. I mean, it was a nothing main event. Very forgettable. The only spots that I truly can recall, other than John Cena, really locking in the tightest chin lock I think I've ever seen in professional wrestling, because they're really trying to set up for the next move, was the spot where they had this drone flying around. Must be a sight when you're at the shows themselves. So you see this drone flying around that's with the camera. They have this drone over top of the ring, and Logan Paul calls for the drone. The drone comes closer to Logan Paul. He grabs onto the drone. Like, I'm the best, blah, 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 all the typical stuff, right? Then he gets set up for the superplex, and I actually thought this was a pretty cool spot, I won't lie, where they did the superplex while Logan Paul is holding on to the drone, and you could actually see the move being delivered and land in the ring. I was like, that's pretty cool that Jey Uso came out of nowhere, and then the drone just kind of flipped over after that. It's like, all right, cool. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That was about a minute I'll give of this match that I enjoyed. And the rest of it was just,
Yeah, I'll give Logan Paul credit. I did enjoy the moonsault as well.
Oh, the moonsault as well. Yeah, that was good distance. It was good form on the moonsault as well. So I got to give him credit there.
He easily looked the best in this match to me.
I agree.
Like, it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
It was like Logan Paul. And you're right. It wasn't like amazing from beginning to end for Logan Paul. But the moments I'm going to remember are those two moments. And I'm glad you brought them up, because those are the two that I had written down. I really thought he did a good job on the moonsault outside to the ring. It looked spectacular. It wasn't like a cheapie. I thought he did it really well. And then the drone spot are the two things I'm going to remember. So I give him some credit for using the opportunity that he had to be the most memorable person in the match.
Absolutely. Otherwise, nothing going here in this one. Just nothing. They already teasing some heat between Cena and Paul. They were kind of pushing each other back and forth. Like, all right, fine. I guess we'll have a Cena-Logan Paul match in the future. Who knows? But before we get to the Cena-Logan Paul match, Lee, I guess we're going to continue on a program that everybody loved when we were going into Saturday's main event. And then they cut the guy. And but it's okay, Lee, because he's back. Ron Killings is back. R-Truth is back. And guess what, Lee? He is in the main event in 2025. We are probably going to get another Cena R-Truth program in the year of our Lord 2025, because the WWE Universe, the fans that bitched and moaned and complained and whined and groaned because a man was let go, not even let go. He was told, hey, we're not going to renew your contract. We're moving on from you. They were so upset, despite the week earlier, they were so upset about the match taking place, but then they were upset that the guy was gone. And so now he's come back, and he's going to be in the main event in 2025 against John Cena. The man is 53 years old, and I'll give him credit. He's probably in much better shape than Cena is, could probably do more. But in the year of our Lord 2025, we're going to have 53-year-old Ron Killings, R-Truth, against 46, 47-year-old John Cena. And we're going to continue this program. R-Truth is back. And based on the reaction of the WWE fan base, they're loving it. They love that R-Truth is back. They are talking about the moments. That's all this fan base cares about. The moments. They're treating this like this is one of the biggest returns in professional wrestling history. And now trying to tell people, oh, it was a work all along. We got work, Lee. We got worked. We got worked super hard. The sheets got worked. I got worked. You got worked. All the people listening on the podcast got worked. First of all, I can't believe it. R-Truth is back. I thought he was going to be gone. I thought it would just be a short little bit of fan backlash saying, oh, we're upset but then they'll eventually move on. But no, WWE caved to the pressure and is now bringing back R-Truth. So I don't want to hear any more complaining from the fan base when the Cena R-Truth program doesn't end up being exactly how they envisioned it would go when he comes back. So I don't want to hear any complaining from the fan base afterwards. Number two, the people that are going out there and saying this is a work. Okay, first of all, like, we're actually going to try and give you credit here. Okay, you, the fans, told the WWE, you barely do this. You're usually very accepting of what you're given from the WWE. But in a rare instance of this modern fan base, you've rejected and you push back against the company and said, hey, we don't like this. We want our guy back on TV. And how do you respond? You don't even give yourselves the credit. You try and make this elaborate booking plan from Triple H, Paul Levesque, who, by the way, Paul Levesque, the press conference, talking about, oh, it's all part of the show. He can't even just go out there and say, look, we heard the fan feedback. We understood. We made a mistake. The fans made this happen. He can't even give you, the fans, the credit. He has to linger it out there that he can't, all the talk about the work and, oh, it's all a work. He can't even just say, oh, it's you guys, the fans. It's you did a great job. We heard and we listened to you. No, he has to give himself some credit. This selfish, bald prick cannot just give it back to the fans. He's got to insinuate that, oh, this is all part of the master. This is part of the show. This is all part of my inner workings, blah, blah, blah. God, I can't stand that guy. Can't stand that guy. And now...
So okay, I don't want to cut you off because I know you're going to continue, but I really think that this is a great point that you're making, and I want to flush it out a little bit because let's just imagine, wrestling fan or WWE fan, that they didn't renew the contract of R-Truth and never heard a word about it. It was almost like, yeah, I totally understand. Good riddance. If that's how the fans felt, if you think he would have brought him back in the main event of Money in the Bank anyway, because it was all a work, it was all a big ruse, and this was the plan all along, give your head a shake.
Come on, guys.
This was only to do with the fans, and you rightly point out they don't do this very much, and they were upset about it. Why, I don't know, but they were, and they forced the hand of the WWE to bring him back and put him in a spot that he was last night.
Yes.
And good on the fans. I don't agree with them, but it's not about me agreeing with them. It's about if the fans feel a certain way and there's a majority and you want to be vocal about it and you actually make the company reconsider what they're doing, good for you. That's what should happen. That's amazing. I love that. That's incredible that people could feel that way, because I'm telling you, you are the biggest, I was going to call you a mark, but idiot I have ever met. If you think that this was all a plan from the beginning, that we're going to not renew the contract of R-Truth, but we're going to pretend, and then we're going to bring him back in the main event of Money in the Bank, and it's going to be incredible. Never, ever went through the mind of TKO when they were looking at the money on the contracts. It never went through anybody's mind. And they switched gears because of what the fans did. Good for the fans and good for the company for switching gears. But as you said, is it even possible to give the fans credit for something that they did and not pretend that this was your work? Because it's not your work. So, Zach, sometimes I think you're a little hard on the bald prick, but
who's also selfish.
Yeah.
Just sorry. I want to make that clear.
I can't believe you use that kind of language. And our year, the Lord of 2025. But you couldn't be more bang on. That's downright narcissistic to change your mind in the middle of what you're doing, of letting somebody go, firing them, not renewing their contract, whatever you want to say, you don't think they're good enough to be part of your roster. You got backlash from the fans. You changed your mind, which is the right thing to do if you got that sort of backlash. Could you give somebody credit other than yourself? It's so narcissistic to think that this was your idea from the beginning, because I promise you, if you decided not to renew his contract and he wrote something on social media and 4 views and nobody cared, you would never bring him back.
No,
It just wouldn't happen.
absolutely not. You mean to tell me that they, in this elaborate work, which by the way, we're putting this elaborate work for a lower mid-card comedy guy. A lower mid-card comedy guy we're putting this elaborate work for, by the way. We're going to put this elaborate work. We're also going to cut 2 other people that same day. We're going to release them from their contracts, where the contracts are about to expire. We're going to inform them we're not re-signing them. However the case may be, 2 other people that day were going to be let go. We have not heard from those people that they are also coming back, Carlito and Valhalla. And you mean to tell me that they wanted to have their fans purposely take over the show and have "We Want Truth" chants, and then 30 seconds later they chant "This is awesome," which also happened on Worlds Collide, by the way. And then you have them, and then you work your roster where your roster is totally upset, and they're going out on social media making the company look bad as well. That because they're upset that the guy that they love in the locker room is gone. You're going to work that roster too. We're talking WCW stuff here, okay? In terms of an elaborate work. Just so that we could get the 53-year-old lower mid-card guy back into the company so he can be put in a main event. Give your heads a shake. The fans that are listening in, give yourself some credit. For some reason, I don't know what it is with this fan base. I don't understand, but it has to be the most hyperbolic thing that everything is hyperbole with this WWE fan base. I don't understand. Like, there's something that's good, and they call it the greatest thing to ever happen in the history of professional wrestling. I don't understand. Give yourself some credit. You push the company, and the company caved. Now there's a bad precedent here from the company, because now other guys can try and get some sort of push, and if they get let go, maybe the fans will push back on that. Then they would have to be re-signed. And again, if this is a work, you might establish a precedent here, where if you do let go of people, fans will be like, "Oh, well, that's not true. Like, I saw with Truth, and that was a work, and so maybe this is a work." And maybe there will be people that will have legitimately been let go, getting spammed by fans being like, "So when are you coming back to WWE? When are you coming back to WWE?" Is that really what you want in terms of this elaborate work?
Right. And these people walking around like, "No, I actually got fired."
No, I legitimately got fired.
Yeah, sure you did. Yeah, well, you'll be back in a month. No,
I'm gone.
I need work.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure. So another branch off from this, I really wonder there's some people in the company that I would say are the, what's the proper way to put this? They're good people. They're somewhat top stars, but they're kind of the moral compass, I would call it, of understanding what the fans want, understanding that they work for the company, and trying to create a better moral compass in a company that they still have to do what the company tells them to do. So I don't know who you would put in the category. If I said to you, like, who do you believe as wrestlers are kind of like the moral compass of where, like, they're good people, and you know it. I guess what I'm saying is I'm thinking about Kevin Owens. I'm thinking about Sami Zayn. I'm thinking about Natalia. A little bit now. I probably like this guy more than you, but he does have either the number 1 or 2 top selling t-shirt for a while now, and that's Karrion Kross, who we haven't seen in the ring, but the mind games behind, I really hope he gets a chance. But I think on social media especially, he's come across as a real link between the fans and the wrestlers, that a lot of people relate to him. And that's why he's got the number 1 selling t-shirt, is because he is going on social media and relating to people. Kevin Owens has always done it, where he sits in his car and he kind of talks to you like he's just another guy. Yeah, he works for the company, but he can relate to you. So I wonder, Zach, what all of those people think right now. I would think that they're happy that their friend has work again and has being brought back, and the locker room is going to be a little bit better because Ron Killings is back in it, because he treated people really well and he's a good human being. So I think those people would be happy about it. But I don't think those people are going to be happy about getting worked and happy about putting things out on social media to support their friend, only to have it contradicted this week. And I also think that while they might really like having Ron Killings around, having him involved in the main event of a Saturday night's main event, having him be a part of kind of big moments over the last little bit, and then being brought back in the main event of Money in the Bank, so that he probably will be in the main event of their next show in July. I doubt he gets a SummerSlam appearance, but he'll probably wrestle for the title in July. Like, that's literally 3 big shows in a row where Ron Killings has been at the very top of the heap. And other people have to be wondering, yeah, I like him around. It's really cool. He's getting his shot, but now he's taking away spots when he doesn't deserve to be there.
Yep.
I wonder how those people feel right now.
For sure.
Because if I was the moral compass of a company that able to relate to the fans, and I got worked, it's like if Zach McGibbon got let go and I was there, making sure that I had your back, and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm sure they didn't know. So it's not like Ron Killings probably told them, oh, it's all a work. It probably all came together Friday. So I'm sitting there and all of a sudden, like, Zach's back. Well, I'm happy Zach's back, but I kind of look like an idiot for doing everything I did. And I'm not thrilled about it. I'm glad you're back, but I'm not thrilled about, doing and saying the right thing and being there for you only to get worked myself. I just don't know how many people in the company that are wrestlers are going to be super thrilled about this, I guess is what I'm saying.
Can I relay one of the text chain I got from a coworker of mine who's a big wrestling fan? I thought he was very poignant here, and I wanted to share it because he was also watching the show. Sometimes he's on and off when it comes to watching the shows, but we talk a lot of wrestling whenever I'm at work. And he texted me after the show, and I'll go word for word here. He said, quote, "People complain that one of Cena's retirement run matches had to be against a guy like R-Truth. Now those same people are acting like cutting him and grinding him back was the best booking since the Hart-Austin double turn. I guess this goes to show how damaged wrestling fans are from Vince booking. You make fans feel seen once, and suddenly R-Truth is everyone's favorite tippy-top guy. We'll take whatever scrap you throw us as long as you make us feel like it was our idea." So I thought that was a great point.
It is a very good point, except at the very end, they didn't make it seem like your idea.
Well, of course, then Paul Levesque has to take credit.
He took all the credit for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, like, this comes down to, I'm sure he's a good guy. I'm actually glad he's back. And I'm sure a lot of the people in the locker room who were sad to see him go are glad that he's back.
Oh, yeah. Let's make it clear. This is good for Truth. Like, good on him. He was going to be, even if he was not coming back to WWE, he was going to do fine on the indies. Trust me. There were people that were reaching out to try and book him. Like, this is a win-win for him. He's going to be just fine in all this.
Yeah, exactly. So good for him and good for the people who really like him and want him around. I think that's awesome. You got a good person back in the company. But from a fan's point of view, this, like, I feel like we're switching spots here, where it takes sometimes a long boil to get you worked up, and then by the end of the show, you finally get all worked up and you get yelly, screamy, and I'm the one that yells and screams at the beginning and the middle and near the end, and then Zach finishes it off.
Yeah.
Now I feel like you've been that sort of during the show and bring up some really good points and you're not happy about it, but I'm actually slow boiling right now because I go back again, and I know that this seems, it is 2020 vision. I get it. But March 1st, John Cena turned heel in Toronto to one of the biggest reactions, having us compare it to Hulk Hogan turning heel in 1996. And I don't think there was any doubt at the time, one of the biggest heel turns of all time. Wherever you wanted to put it, when John Cena did that and turned heel, something that a lot of people just never saw coming, one of the biggest heel turns ever in the history of pro wrestling. Zach, we are 3 months and a week past that day. We're about 100 days. Someone would have to do the actual math. But from March 1st to now, as we sit here, what's today, the 8th?
Day is the 8th, yes.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to do the math on the air, okay?
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. 31 days in May, 30 days or March, 30 days in April, that's 61. Then 31 days is 92. Plus 8 is 100. So while I guesstimated, folks, while I sat here and pontificated that it might be somewhere around 100, it's exactly 100 days. This is the worst booked 100 days of any top superstar, maybe in the history of pro wrestling. I'm just going to leave that there and say, I can't remember a top star after one of the biggest heel turns of all time in their first 100 days. I literally couldn't imagine it going worse than this. If I wrote it up and said, I'm going to try to make it bad, I don't know that I could have done this. If I gave you the script, Zach, on March the 2nd, the day after that we did a podcast on one of the biggest heel turns of all time, and I just said to you, this is how the next 100 days are going to go. Even you, who doesn't have the most pro WWE view, would say, Lee, you're getting carried away.
I would.
You've gone too far. You've jumped the shark. You're actually just being sarcastic now because of your hatred of what's happened. So all the things you say about Triple H and all the things you say about WWE, there's some other great wrestlers in the WWE. There's some things I like about it. This is the worst 100 days booked for a top guy champion in the history of pro wrestling. Can you imagine the first 100 days of Hogan after he turned with the NWO going like this?
Imagine if one of the feuds that Hogan was in was against Disco Inferno. Think about that.
Right.
That's what's happening right now with the Cena R-Truth stuff.
Yes, exactly. A comedy guy, lower mid card, not a very good wrestler. And Hogan turns as the third member. The NWO New World Order forms, and it's Hogan and Disco Inferno in multiple main events on big shows.
Yeah.
It's like Clash of Champions, Saturday night's main event. Same thing.
Very good.
Clash of Champions, main event, Hogan and Disco Inferno. Pay-per-view. Starrcade. Fall Brawl, whatever. Halloween Havoc.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Hogan. Disco Inferno. With the returning Disco Inferno.
Yeah. Like Hogan's teaming with Rodman or something like that to take on, the counterattack. You could go with either Piper or Sting and his tag partner, who's a guy that got a chant over at WCW but wasn't actually great in the ring.
DDP?
Well, I like DDP in the ring, but we'll go with...
Yeah, no.
But I get what you're saying. We'll go with DDP.
He wrestled DDP when it was DDP and Leno
Yes.
and
Yes.
Hogan and Rodman, and you're right. And then somebody else comes in. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a lower card guy that was Disco Inferno. I think is a really good example because he's a lower mid card guy that's kind of got a comedy gimmick to him.
Yep.
And that Disco Inferno would be involved in a Clash of Champions, in a Halloween Havoc, and then leading to what was their November pay-per-view that they used to have?
I believe World War III was during that time.
World War III. So just imagine that Hogan takes over the NWO in July, and then in the first 100 days, he wrestles Disco Inferno at Clash of Champions. Disco Inferno gets let go. Disco Inferno comes back in the main event of Halloween Havoc, and then now the main event of World War III will be Hogan and Inferno again. That's the beginning of the NWO. That's what's happening here. That's exactly what's happening here. I'm boiling over here about how poorly this could have gone, and that it's even worse. And it goes back to the question that you asked at the beginning. What is it that WWE fans actually want? What do they want, Zach?
I really would like to know. Is it just like they say a lot of things, but what do they actually want? Do they want do they just want moments to be involved in and say, "Oh, I was there for that"? Do they want, a good do they want good professional wrestling, like in-ring stuff in the ring? Or do they just want to say, "Hey, this happened and I was there for it and I'm a fan"? I just need something a little bit more defined. This is where my intervention of the WWE fan base comes in. Because I need to ask that. I need to ask what, because there's a problem right now with this fan base. I just don't understand what the needs are, what the wants are. Are there a set of standards that WWE fans want? Do they understand what kind of industry that they're in when it comes to professional wrestling? So I will open up the floor and allow people to send in an email, reach out to me on social media, specifically fans, because we got a good mix of fans that listen in. We got the AEW
How do they do that,
and,
Zach? Tell people how they do that.
Well, they can follow us on our social media at TIW_audio. They can reach out to us there on all of the platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. They could reach out there. They could also send an email. They could send an email to versagelee@gmail.com. Lee will forward it to me, and I will see it, so I could truly take it in and read it and understand, because I'd like to know. I just need an understanding at this point. I just need to understand the thought process, because it just feels so roller coastery, like up and down. It's this one week and then it's this the other. Like, what do you look for in your WWE shows at this point? Because I feel like there's just this strong disconnect between what you and I, especially me, but I think you as well, of what we are kind of looking for in these shows and what the fan base has been wanting and getting from these shows. So I encourage people to reach out and let us know. I extend the invitation. I want to reach out and understand and open up dialogue, because I don't understand.
So on our next show, we will try and do this, because I think it is a good exercise. I'm going to create a list of things that I would like to see. And it might not be what you or what any other person wants, but as a person who still enjoys professional wrestling from all companies, and I would like the WWE to be better. It's not like I want to be angry at them all the time. In fact, I was the guy saying at the beginning of 2025, I thought they had taken a step ahead of AEW. And I believe that in January with the Royal Rumble and some of the things that they were doing and where AEW was and all the run-ins that they had, convoluting their main events. AEW looks like to me now it's getting back to what they are good at. And WWE is completely gone away from where they had me in January. So before we start to get to, because we have a chance now, before we start to get to like All In, which isn't until July the 12th. We got these like 9-hour Fighter Fest things that are going on, which I still haven't got some long shows.
Yes.
And that's okay. But just from the WWE point of view, I'm going to create a list of some of the things that I would like to see in the company that would make it worthwhile to me. And it's because their list of wrestlers are a lot. I still think that, you know, the possibilities are there. Like this was a show, let's remember, that didn't have Roman Reigns, it didn't have CM Punk, it didn't have like any big singles title matches. Like both champions were in a tag match where R-Truth was involved in the main event, with John Cena and Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes, one of the biggest stars, also involved in this tag match that was trying to get a mid-carder over at the end of the day. I still think there are times where, like in WrestleMania, I guess, I'm just trying to remember some of the good times. It's like you can say what you want about that entire card. I didn't think it was a very good WrestleMania at all this year. And, you know, from people that went and spent all that money for how expensive it is, I was disappointed watching at home, let alone going to Vegas and spending all that money. But I will say that the Punk Rollins Reigns match on the Saturday night felt like a big fight feel.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get back to that? Because that to me is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to come up with some ideas on how to get back to that for our next show and tell you at least what I'm looking for. I'll be very interested to hear what you're looking for specifically, because I know you're not happy with the direction at all. So how would you go about getting it back on track, and what do you want to see, Zach? And then we'll get it from our listeners, because I think it's really important to, as you said, to have that dialogue, to have the interaction, and to try and get a sense of what people are looking for. It is easy to criticize. I think this show was easy to criticize.
Yep.
I think some of their shows of late have been very easy to criticize. And when I don't shy away from it, because when things deserve criticism, it's okay to criticize. It doesn't mean you hate it. It means this wasn't good, and it's okay to say why it wasn't good. But we do have to have shows and different things to be able to say, okay, well, this is what we would do instead. This is why we still love professional wrestling, because of these things. And how do you get back to it? You can't just criticize. So I really like your idea here. You've really turned it around, Zach McGibbon, and used your anger and frustration into something positive for the next program.
Yes, I want to extend the olive branch and understand it. Look, I also want to make it clear. I don't want to like come across anti-WWE all the time. I know people enjoy when I lose my mind on these shows, but I don't like losing my mind all the time on these shows. But somebody has to be honest about these shows around here, because it feels like a lot of the time there's just this disconnect, and it feels like there's this toxic positivity all the time when it comes to some of these WWE shows. And I want to say too, like literally on that same day, I watched the Worlds Collide show with AAA and WWE. And look, AAA is not a promotion I think is very good on the shows that I've seen, and I was a little concerned of them partnering with WWE on this show and how it would turn out. But I thought it was a good show. Like, I actually enjoyed a lot of the elements of the show, especially, you know, that main event. I didn't think it was this otherworldly main event, but I thought it was a very good main event. And, you know, so that's the thing. It's like, if there is a way to do it, and I saw it with the Worlds Collide, where I can come away, even with some negative factors going against it, that I can come away and say, okay, that was worth my time. I'm glad I watched it. So I want to extend that olive branch and hear from people instead of just me, being all rambly and screamy and being mad all the time, because it's just not going to get us anywhere here. So,
well, and the point of what I think you're trying to say is, I want more moments that, like when John Cena turned heel, we had to do a show the next day.
Yep. Absolutely.
because it was important. It was newsworthy. It was something that people didn't expect. And that's what I want. I want more times where I watch a WWE program going, oh boy, better get ready for tomorrow or even tonight because we got to do a show on this because this is big. That's what I want. Whether you liked it or not, Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble was good for business, I think, at the time, and a result that not a lot of people thought was going to happen. And so we needed to do something on that right away. Right?
Yep.
So those are things that I want more of, and that I want to be. It's not getting on here and running something down for the sake of running it down. It's okay, something big just happened, whether I like it or not, or you like it or not. Like, we need to do something on this because people are angry, people are happy, people are shocked, and they want to hear reaction to it. So more moments like that is what I'm looking for. It's not to get on here and just, oh, here's the show and tear it down again.
Yeah.
I didn't want to tear down Money in the Bank. And with the first match, I actually was like, okay, wrong winner, but it was okay. And then it just went all downhill for me after that. I was trying to be positive, and the positivity got sucked right out of me after match one. But we'll have that coming up in the next couple of days, Zach, and I look forward to that. You start writing your ideas down now because I want to hear how Zach McGibbon not would change it, but would inject some ideas into it that make you in particular want to watch, because I already have some in my head that, putting people in some different positions, doing some different things, and trying to make the product something that I think a lot of people would enjoy. I'm going to race off this podcast right now, Zach, and start writing things down.
There you go. Get the ideas written down.
Yeah.
Go to the creative office, say, look, guys, I've got some ideas if you want to take a read through and see if you want to implement them.
Yep. But I can't wait to hear from a lot of people's points of view about how they would do it. Like, what would be interesting to you as the listener, as the viewer? We want to hear from you.
And if you and look, I will even open it up to the people that do like what they're seeing, and they do like what they're seeing on TV each week. I want to hear from you as well, because I want to understand your thought process too when it comes to this. So we're opening it up to everybody. I'm interested to hear and read some of the ideas that'll be coming in.
Been quite a show. Great to catch up with you. I should catch up with you every Sunday morning and get you this fired up.
Yeah. What a way to wake up on a Sunday morning. Just get fired up about R-Truth coming back in the main event. So get me fired up.
All right. Well, I do look forward to our next program. Always good to talk to you, Zach McGibbon.
Absolutely. Thank you as well. It's always good to chat with you, Lee. And thank you for making the time this morning. I know I shot off a late night text, but I was just like, I need to get this out of this.
Hey, as fans of the program, like I am of this program, mostly because I'm on it, but
of course,
as a fan of the program, we needed to get this Zach McGibbon. Like, you can't wait days to have this and let it cool off. We need to get the raw emotion.
That's right.
We need to get the horns out.
Oh,
or Hornsey. For Zach McGibbon, I'm Lee Versage. Thanks for being along for another edition of This Is Wrestling.